Please take your seats. You know, as a first-year instructor here at the Colony High School, I got to observe the next individual, and what I realized, I said, you know, he's a calm person, he has a calm demeanor, and he's really relaxed. I know he cares about his students, I know he cares about his instructors, I know he cares about his school as a whole. And this morning, early this morning, as I was taking things out of my vehicle, getting prepared for today, I noticed a really souped-up car passing me. And I looked really close, and there was Dr. Baxter. So the only thing I changed about him was the calmness to coolness. And, but he does care about his school, he cares about his staff, and he cares about his students. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce our leader, our principal, Dr. Tim E. Baxter.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Edens, and good morning to you all. Good morning to our students and our teachers joining us in their classrooms remotely. Also, I would like to say good morning to our guests that are joining on the live YouTube feed, literally all over the area, and a special welcome to some of our staff veterans on stage, and to our JROTC cadets in the audience, and also to our TCHS band. It's great to have you here live in the auditorium with us this morning. This is our 6th annual Veterans Day Assembly here at the Colony High School. And through the ability to use technology, we're literally able to broadcast this out to thousands in our community. And whereas we miss the opportunity to be live in our gym, this is a great opportunity for us. Even though we cannot be in person and together in the gym, I really believe that this year's ceremony is more important than ever. In the midst of a global pandemic that has impacted every facet of our lives and has impacted our community and many of you as well, in the midst of an election season that has been contentious and which opinions have been so divided, in the midst of a time in our nation in which unrest has been at a high point and division has been more felt than in decades, during all that 2020 has brought and it has been a challenge. Veterans Day brings us here to celebrate something, and it brings us hope that better days are ahead. Veterans Day and those we celebrate indicate a bright spot in a troubling time, something to celebrate in the midst of what has been a year of mainly challenges, and for that, we are grateful today. On September 9th, 1965, Senior Naval Officer James Stockdale was flying a mission over North Vietnam when his plane was shot down. Luckily, he was able to escape by parachute. However, he was taken captive when he landed, and next, what happened is almost unimaginable. He was sent to the infamous Hanoi Hilton, and he was placed in a cell 3 feet by 9 feet only in dimension. Very small cell. And that is where he spent the next 7 years of his life, in this small cell as a prisoner of war. Beaten, mistreated in every way, he faced horrors that most of us only hear about, which make a lot of our problems in our lives almost seem dim. Most people would simply give up, but not Mr. Stockdale. Instead, he kept on going. He survived this 7-year ordeal, and he made it home. Stockdale's story begs the question, how did he survive? Why did he not just give up as most people would? And when he was asked that question, he said one of the most profound things I've heard in many years. He said this, and I would challenge all of you to remember it: I never lost sight in the end of the story. I never lost sight in the end of the story. James Stockdale was going through torture. He was confined to a space so small, most of us would go crazy. He was in conditions that were deplorable for 7 years, but he kept on going. He did not give up because he kept looking at the end of the story, to the conclusion of it. He was bound and determined that he would get through it, that he would survive, and that he would make it home, and he did. Our veterans who we honor today are prime examples of this attitude. Our veterans fought in wars. They faced atrocities we would never dream of, and they kept going in spite of all those odds. My grandfather, now deceased, fought in World War II under General George S. Patton in the fight against Nazi Germany. My granddad almost lost total hearing in both ears as a result of the war, and for years he would not talk about his experience. But when he finally did, what came forward from him is that he had a driving determination to make it home. And the men in his company had a driving determination to fight for our country. To them, that was the end of the story, and they didn't lose sight of it. Our veterans are true heroes because of this, and today we honor them and we say thank you to them for all their service and for never giving up. Our veterans fought in wars when our nation was at the crossroads, when our nation were in times of desperate urgency. Students, in 2020, we are again at some crossroads at a nation, and how we handle these times we're in will largely determine the future of our country for years, maybe even decades to come. Students, you will go through high school and become adults during all these days, and you will be called upon to make a difference in our nation. So today, we have the opportunity to learn from our veterans as we celebrate them. Let us learn from them to never give up in difficulty. Let us learn from them that we are in this together. Our veterans fought for all Americans, and let's make sure we do the same. Let's live the same in our lives. And in conclusion, as I started with the example of Senior Naval Officer James Stockdale, let us learn what he said: when faced with difficulty in your life, And what our veterans so beautifully displayed in all of our wars, when you're faced with difficulties, whatever the circumstances, no matter what you face, never give up and have forward focus that you can then say, I never lost sight in the end of the story. God bless you all, and God bless our veterans. Ladies and gentlemen, I would now like to recognize our veterans here at TCHS with a short video presentation followed by the Armed Forces Salute, which combines the military service songs in order of the United States Army, Coast Guard, Marines, Air Force, and Navy into one musical tribute. If you are a veteran, please stand during the presentation of the colors and playing of the song of your service.
Hello, TCHS. My name is Tony Ernst. I'm your security guard. I did 4 years in the Marine Corps as a military police officer, and I am a veteran.
Hi, my name is Miss Mena, Jack B. Mena. My husband served in the U.S. Army, World War II. He was a veteran.
Hi, TCHS. I'm Coach Chuck Brown. I served in the United States Air Force for 4.5 years, and I'm proud to be a veteran.
I am Michael Fields. I served in the Air Force for 24 years. I am a veteran.
Hey TCHS, I'm Ron Burton. I spent 24 years in the United States Army. I am a veteran.
The table set to the left in front of you is a place of honor. In setting this table, we acknowledge those veterans missing from our Veterans Day celebrations today. Remember, the table is set for one. It symbolizes the separation and isolation of one missing service member. Remember, the tablecloth is white. It symbolizes the purity of their intentions to respond to their nation's call to arms. Remember, the chair is empty, for they are not here with us. Remember, the wine glass is inverted. They cannot join us in a toast today. Remember, the slices of lemon. They remind us of the bitter fate of those not here. Remember, the grains of salt. They represent the tears of the families of those not here. Remember, the single red rose. It signifies the blood that many have shed in sacrifice to ensure the freedom of our country. And it reminds us of the loved ones of those missing or in captivity who keep awaiting the faith of their return. Remember, the lit candle. It is reminiscent of the everlasting light of hope that lives in our hearts of a reunion with those missing. Remember, the yellow ribbon. It represents the yellow ribbons worn on the lapels of the thousands who demand a proper accounting of those who are not among us today. We remember them. All who have served alongside them, we who have donned the same proud uniform, being sworn to the same faith and allegiance. We will never forget their sacrifice. We remember them. Until the day they return home or find eternal peace, we will remember them. Thank you.
That was excellent. Let's give a round of applause for Cadet Sergeant Major Ortiz, Cadet Captain Crouchman. Excellent job. Oh, it's great. Thank you, Dr. Baxter, for your excellent speech, making me do my homework. The next person that I'd like to introduce has a long list of accolades, but I'd like to just touch on a few. She's been the dean and professor at Florida's A&M University. She served at Georgia's Legal Services. She has a strong passion for community services. She's also a veteran, a Marine veteran, a Marine lawyer. I'd like to introduce Dean Felicia Epps.
Good morning. Am I on? Okay. Well, thank you, Lieutenant Colonel Eddings, for that wonderful brief introduction and for reaching out to me and inviting me to speak here today. It's truly an honor to be in high school again. It's been many, many years, I must say. Thank you, Dr. Baxter, for your leadership. I can only imagine myself having a total of 550 people I have to organize and care for and help along, the number of things that you are having to pull together in order to provide a quality education to our young people as they make their way forward, and to care for your faculty and staff. Thank you so much for your leadership and efforts, and for allowing me to speak here today. Good morning, TCHS. Did I get that right? Good morning. Law school classes are interactive, so it's all right if you respond to me. Good morning, and I have to say you have truly inspired me this morning. From the two young men who greeted me as I parked and escorted me to this room to be part of this important ceremony, to that inspiring music. I have to tell you that no matter how many years pass, whenever I hear that Marine Corps hymn, the words of the song come back to my memory, and I have to stand up. And actually, I believe I still remember all the verses to that song. A drill instructor long ago had something to do with that. I'm going to focus my comments on the Marine Corps since I served in the Marine Corps, but keep in mind always that we're all on one team. We joke back and forth about which service may be better or not, or whether the Air Force actually is a military service or not. But be that as it may, we're all on the same team. You know, my name is Felicia Epps. I am Dean of the University of North Texas College of Law, and I love to talk with any of you who are interested in becoming a lawyer at some point in the future. Not now, but remember, now is the time to start. The efforts you put into your study right now lead to what you'll do in college and what you may do in law school as well. Start thinking and planning about that right now. Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans in our midst. Thank you all for your service. And I served on active duty for 10 years as an officer of Marines and a military lawyer, which is a judge advocate. And I know there's at least one other Marine in my midst to whom I must say, happy birthday, Marine. We all know that November 10th is what? The Marine Corps birthday. The Marine Corps was 245 years old yesterday, and it's traditional on that day for Marines to wish each other a happy birthday. One of the things people find most fascinating about me is my military service, and in particular, why would you select the United States Marine Corps? The short answer is, I was early for lunch one day at Cornell College, which is in Mount Vernon, Iowa, on a nice little hilltop, a little liberal arts college, and I met the Marine Corps recruiter there. I'm an African American woman, which was interesting to the Marines at that time, and he learned I was interested in going to law school. Immediately, they wanted to recruit me because of the commitment to diversity in all of the services. They were seeking to diversify in terms of race and gender, and particularly in terms of being a lawyer. And this just reminds me really to give a shout out again to Lieutenant Colonel Eddings and to, was it the Command Sergeant Major, young woman that I met briefly. When I was on active duty, actually, one of my most vivid memories is how the command decided to pull the only woman in the color guard out of the graduation parade as being in the color guard because she was a woman, something that would not happen today. So it's truly inspiring for me to see you serving in that capacity. Keep up the good work. Anyway, I applied to and was accepted in the Marine Corps officer program. I spent the summer at Officer Candidate School in Quantico, Virginia, and I was hooked. I really was attracted to the structure, to the order, to the discipline, to all of the things that I had not been exposed to before. It was challenging and interesting and unlike anything I'd ever done before. After graduating from Cornell College, Mount Vernon, Iowa, I was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the United States Marine Corps. Instead of going on to active duty at that point, I decided to go to law school. I attended Creighton University Law School in Omaha, Nebraska, and by the time I graduated, I had made the rank of first lieutenant, not knowing anything really at all about the Marine Corps other than what I had learned in Officer Candidate School. After that, it was on to the basic school, which is also in Quantico, Virginia. And this is a 6-month period where Marine officers learn what it means to be an officer of Marines. There's a lot of focus on leadership. You might ask, why would they be sending a lawyer to learn for 6 months about learning to lead Marines? The answer is simple. All Marines are basic warriors and leaders and expected to assume command at the drop of a hat. And it would make no difference that I was a judge advocate rather than an infantry officer. I followed the basic school with Naval Justice School, where I finally learned about being a judge advocate. And I served as a judge advocate at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, Quantico, Virginia, Parris Island, South Carolina, which is the home of the 4th Recruit Training Battalion, where all women Marine recruits are trained. And one of my escorts is going to that other Marine Corps recruit depot, which is on the West Coast at Camp Pendleton, a Hollywood Marine, as we might say back then. But I was stationed at Camp Pendleton also for a year or so. As a civilian, I managed a legal services office in Albany, Georgia, which is Southwest Georgia. I've been a law professor for 20 some odd years now, and I've been a dean at 2 different law schools. I gave you that brief overview so that I can also tie in how my military career and the many things I learned helped me to succeed outside of the United States Marine Corps. There are lots of lessons to be learned by military service, including teamwork, staying motivated, all kinds of things, but I'm going to focus on just 3. And I will tell you about those. The first one is discipline. As I said earlier, Marine Corps life is very structured and ordered. There are rules to be followed, and there's a work day that you have to observe. Our work day was normally 07, which is 7 a.m., to 16:30, which is 4:30. But that's the time in the office. Outside the office, there are a lot of other things that you are expected to do. You're expected to be on time and do your job well. In fact, in no other context is being late actually a criminal offense. Did you know that? In the Marine Corps, it's called unauthorized absence. In the Army, it's called absence without leave. Either way, what it means is that you are not at your appointed place at the appointed time. If you're late, you could actually be charged with a criminal offense. Now, they really never did that unless you were, say, like a week or 2 late, or you left the base and ran away or something like that. But in theory, being late could be charged as a criminal offense. Being on time is important. I'm sure it's important to your classes here at your school. It will be important as you go through further in your education, should you decide to do that. Whatever job that you have, it's important to be on time for work. And believe me, as a lawyer, it's important that you be on time for court to represent your client zealously. My first job when I left the Marine Corps was as managing attorney of this legal services office. And the office, legal services, provides free legal help to low-income people. And community service of that nature has always been something that I'm interested in and committed to. But the office needed structure, order. Who better to hire to manage an office that needs structure and order than a Marine? It was a very attractive candidate because, of course, as you can think about that, everyone is going to be required to be on time and to do their jobs. That's just something very basic. Physical fitness is another area where discipline is required. And I encourage my friend who's getting ready to go to boot camp. I'm sure you love to run and do all those things. You better get at it. You'll be ahead of the game if you are in top physical shape. But Marines are expected to exercise and take care of themselves. In training environments like Officer Candidate School and boot camp, that's an easy task because you have someone assigned to help you do that. It's called a drill instructor who will wake you up early and require you to get out there and run, hike, or do some other type of exercise. One of my most vivid memories was my first actual training day at Officer Candidate School, when at 4 a.m., also known as 0400 hours, a drill instructor bust into the squad bay and rolled a trash can, one of those big metal trash cans, down the middle of the room and started yelling, "Get up, get up." And I, of course, thought, what have I gotten myself into? But we had to get up, go outside in the dark on some lovely wet grass and do a series of exercises called the Marine Corps Daily 7. Part of the reason physical fitness was for physical fitness purposes, but of course, the other part of the reason is, I won't ask for a show of hands, but think about how you'd feel about getting up at 4 o'clock in the morning. They wanted to wake us up. My father would often remind his children that nothing comes to a sleeping man but a dream. That was his way of saying, get up and get to school or go wherever we needed to go. The Marine Corps agrees with that philosophy. Since that time, exercise has been a very important part of my life. As I get older, I have gotten slower and I do less, but it's still something that I'm committed to doing. Running, walking, swimming, and now quite a bit of yoga. Anything that you seek to succeed at, whether it's high school, college, a career, will take discipline and work. I remind my entering students every year that the only place you will find success before work is in the dictionary. Think about that and it will sink in. I know that young people don't use dictionaries as much. We Google everything. But there's a reason why you can only find success before work in a dictionary. Second point is confidence. I developed more self-confidence by doing the things that challenged me. I was not an athlete in high school, never thought about running very far or doing very much in the way of that. So life at OCS presented a particular challenge for me. But as I mastered those physical challenges, I gained more confidence, both in the physical challenges and in other areas of the training. And as I gained more confidence, the more I could do. Confidence is important in all that you will do. You can always look back and think, if I came through that challenge, I made it over that obstacle, whatever's in front of me, I can do that as well, because you've gained that extra confidence. The obstacle will not matter. And finally, as I sat and listened to the principal's remarks, I thought, he knows what I'm going to talk about also, because my last point is resilience. The part where Dr. Baxter said, never give up. Resilience. What do you do when things don't work out the way that you planned? You don't get the job that you wanted to get. Perhaps you don't get into the specific college that you wanted to get into. What do? You keep trying. You do it again. You don't give up. Rope climbing was among my biggest challenges at Officer Candidate School, but I kept trying. Now, I will tell you, I really didn't have a choice because remember, there's that drill instructor there helping you to master all these challenges, but I eventually made it to the top. I also found land navigation particularly challenging. That's where you have a compass and a map and you find the designated spot. I kept trying. I got lost quite a few times, but I eventually did that. I was able to use the compass and map to get to my desired destination. Keep trying and moving forward, and you will achieve your goals. Believe it or not, I applied for several dean positions before I was selected for the position I currently have as Dean of the UNT Dallas College of Law. And actually, before I was Dean at the UNT Dallas College of Law, I was Dean at another law school, Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University College of Law, which is in lovely Orlando, Florida. It is one of 6 historically black colleges or universities that have a law school. I was dean there for a period of time and was unexpectedly reassigned. I'll put it nicely in that way. But it was disappointing. That was not how I planned or what I had desired to have happen, but I recovered and I moved forward. Military service helps you with that skill: resilience, not giving up, recovering, and moving forward. In conclusion, remember that military service will help you to be more disciplined, it will build your confidence, and teach you resilience, that skill of not giving up. These 3 are some of the keys to success. Thank you for your time and attention. Happy Veterans Day. I will tell you also that I brought plenty of cards I will leave with Lieutenant Colonel Eddings, should students be interested in contacting me to perhaps find out about law school or just talk about education in general. I love to help young people, and so it was truly an honor to be able to come here and address you today. Have a happy Veterans Day.
Thank you so much, Dean Epps. I appreciate you. The Colony High School, appreciate you. Dr. Baxter, I'm sure appreciate you. I know you have a very, very, very busy schedule. Oh, sorry. And we just wanted to show our appreciation with a few tokens and gifts from the cadets of the JROTC program, ma'am. Man, we had to have some green in there, you know, Army. Here,
and another one? Wow, all right.
Yes, ma'am.
I'll have to come back.
Here you go, ma'am.
What gift? Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. What a wonderful day today, folks. As we continue on, I'd like to recognize our colony military folks up here. We have Mr. Fields, Air Force, Mr. Brown, Mr. Ernst. If you're watching, Mr. Burton, Ms. Mena, your husband Jack Mena, we thank you so much. We also have an artifact table over here that was given to us, and they put a lot of their historical military artifacts on it. And if you get an opportunity, come by and take a look at it. It's very, very interesting. Okay, as I said, what a wonderful day today. We came together to honor and recognize American service members, past and present. This day of celebration and reflection originated from the signing of the Armistice Agreement in 1918 to the end of the fighting between Allies and Germany in World War I. The agreement was signed on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month. So today, We honor all of our veterans who unselfishly placed their lives on the line for our freedom. Those men and women, our heroes and our sheroes, were ordinary people from all walks of life until they heard the call of duty and they answered it. They left their families, their homes, and their lives, not for recognition or fame, not even for the honor we bestow upon them today. They fought to protect our country and maintain our way of life. As we honor our veterans and remember their great deeds, let us also salute those who are currently fighting for our freedom. The war on terrorism has helped us all realize how truly unique the American way of life is. The freedom we enjoy is extremely special, and that is why we must vigorously defend it. We also remember that honoring those who have served isn't just about what we say here today. It's about how we honor our veterans every day of the year. It's remaining committed to supporting them and their families in every way that is possible. It's serving them as well as they serve us and continue to serve our nation. That sacrifice between America and all who defends her ideals. It's a trust that's been forged by soldiers and airmen who liberated Europe, and sailors who liberated the Pacific. It's a trust embodied by Marines who etched a legacy in Iwo Jima, and Coast Guardsmen who stood watch over our shores. It's a trust extolled by 8th Army, who drove the enemy forces back above the 38th parallel. Today, I thank you all for honoring those who served and have served, and for honoring those who have set a sterling example, our nation's veterans. May God bless our veterans. May God bless all who wear and who have worn this uniform. And may God continue to bless the United States of America. In closing, before we conclude today, our trumpeter, George Hawkins, will play taps, our final salute in honor of our brothers and sisters who served. Thank you. Please stand. Thank you. That concludes our ceremony.